So that's how you do it, huh?
Well, I mean, what a great environment, what a great atmosphere. Felt really good about our team going in, and I still do. I feel like we just are on the verge of really gaining some confidence and figuring out how to play. You know, the hard part about this game in non-conference, especially when you have young players, is just making them, from game to game, you're switching styles of how people play. And this might be a little bit reminiscent of Black Hill State that gave us a lot of trouble in our exhibition in one half, except Division I bodies and a tradition-rich program like Florida Gulf Coast that wins 30 games every year. They're committed. They got great bodies. They're undersized. Our bigs couldn't keep people in front of us. You know, it was a real challenge to be able to guard them, and it was a real challenge to be able to figure out how we can score against that kind of physical play and that kind of system that they run. And so, you know, again, I keep saying that our young players just need a lot of reps because we can't simulate that kind of defensive pressure, and we need game experience, and obviously playing a team as quality as Florida Gulf Coast is, this can lead to really good things, I think, for our team and expand, you know, our experience and our success and our knowledge of how to be successful against a team that plays as physical as they do.
Kamie, you can go back to what you said in terms of confidence. I think you've got a lot of players who are really confident. I mean, they're not afraid to take the big shot. Kiana Williams hit a huge one. Crystal Lager-Walker, who couldn't hit the ocean, fires a three up and makes it, which, you know, sends it to another overtime. Savannah Smith isn't afraid to shoot, although I think she passed up a possible winner in the first overtime.
Yes.
Yes. But at least an opportunity for it. But they're all stepping up and almost wanting to take shots when the pressure's on.
I think you're right. I think the beauty of it is those players that you mentioned in particular. All of them are a little bit older players, other than Crystal. But Crystal is going to be older because she's been in so many international experiences and played against older players for so long, and has a different kind of experience factor with her. Unfortunately for her, she's not quite well versed in how to guard, and she picks up a lot of foul trouble and is on the bench a lot. But that'll come as she figures out the game is called so differently here. But those other players that you mentioned, I mean, they've 2 years in our gym. Really, all three of those players, Kiwi and Savannah Scott and Savannah Smith, those players, and Courtney Smith, they have put in the hours and hours of shooting. They have committed themselves over the summer to get better at weaknesses of their game. I think they can't help but know they want to be in those situations. They want to play in games because they've really put in the work. And, you know, offensively, I really want to be a team that has 5 people in double figures. I mean, that's what I want. I want us to be where it's going to be hard for people to guard us. And we're not there yet. We're still kind of inconsistent as far as where shots are coming from and points are coming from. But I do believe that we have players in our gym that can create shots and make baskets that are open when we do create them for them. So I'm excited about not just those 3 players that you mentioned in Crystal, but our entire team, because I think there's other players on our team that are confident and that have some abilities that I think will help us, you know, hopefully eventually score more points than we did tonight.
Well, let's talk for a second about Savannah Smith. She gets whacked in the nose in the first play, and I guarantee it was bothering her for about the next 3 or 4 minutes. And she said it's busted.
Yes.
And then late in the game, she gets hammered to the floor.
Yes.
And bangs her head. And, you know, I mean, a lot of players may have opted out that time. She stayed in there, and she scores big buckets for you. And I guess what I want to know, too, is how far has she come in terms of, you talked a year ago a lot about when she settles in and starts playing within herself, she's going to be so much better. Is she closer and closer to that?
Oh, she's, again, that's the beauty. It's a wonderful thing to have talent from freshmen, like to recruit talent. But it's great when they get a little bit seasoned and they gain that experience. And again, she's always been an offensive-minded point guard, which again I love. I love the difference in maybe her mentality versus a Katie Longwell who's not thinking score first. Even Crystal's not thinking score first. So I love the variation of that. But she's one of the unique players off of our team that can create her own shot almost any time in any situation. Mandy Carrico is another player that can do that. We've got to give her some opportunities to do that. But Savannah now has come so far in, a year ago I talked to her all the time about she would, in the midst of a 30-second shot clock, she would take 3 seconds off here. She'd be loose with the ball after 4 dribbles and have 2 soft dribbles. She constantly her intensity couldn't sustain the intensity of the game and of the moment. And she'd bounce it off her foot or kick it off her foot when she tries to make a move. And those times are so far removed and less than she's done in the past. And that's just, again, a credit to her understanding that she's plenty talented enough. Physically becoming tougher, she had to, which showed tonight in just bouncing back. But I think ultimately, mentally, she's gotten tougher. And when you combine that with a really talented skill set, and again, she's only a sophomore. She's only going to get better. It bodes well for us. And again, she's still got a long way to go, but she's come a long way, and it's a real credit to her.
What about Florida Gulf Coast was your biggest concern?
Well, I didn't think they would shoot the 3, and we were, I just think that driving, the way the game's played now, and a year ago they had talent, like they lost 8 players, I think, or 9 players off of last year's team that won 33 games. So I thought they would be down talent-wise or experience-wise, and they certainly are. But they just run a system that they always clear a block, and if you can't play one-on-one defense, or pick and choose coming off of shooters, and then all of a sudden they shoot, threes that you don't expect them to make, and then undersized athletes that just go get rebounds, and all of a sudden they hurt us on the boards and a key point that got them back in the game. So everything about their threat going to the rim, attacking the rim, created open threes, and then their athletes, we have to rotate over to help. Now their athletes go get offensive rebounds. So they're a hard matchup. That's on that end, trying to guard them. And then, just their physicality on their defensive end. They can switch 1 through 4, even 1 through 5, and we're not quite ready to know how to pick apart teams that do those things to us and they're that physical. And, that's why film will help. That's why playing these kinds of games, San Diego will be the same way. Playing quality opponents like this really will help us as we get ready for the Big Sky.
Are you concerned about fatigue playing again in 2 games?
Yeah. I know the players that played extended minutes they'll have a real soft practice tomorrow, get some shots up, and but I told the team I believe in the people on the bench. I really do want to have 10, 11 players that we can play at any moment, and I do believe that they're capable of it. I just think this was a game that, based on how they attacked the rim, it didn't quite play to some of the strengths that our players have and the youth that we have. I just thought it would get exposed a little bit, and we needed a little bit more experience on the court. But I expect us to play a lot of people on Sunday, and again, I want to eventually play a lot of people in the future.
That's all I have.
With all of the youth that you have, what does this say about the future for the season and the future for the program in general?
Yeah, I just can't say everyone that takes over a program understands that you're constantly, I think we walked into a really special situation with 4 seniors, and 2 of them scored and had 1 million rebounds, but the other 2 played a ton of minutes, and we didn't have the talent to back up that kind of playing minutes, and so we didn't have the talent, and they weren't experienced last year. So we just struggled. Thought we had chances last year to be a little bit better and win some games, but we just didn't quite have enough talent. And I think 2 years of recruiting has really helped us. And just all these players that were freshmen when we walked in have played for us and have gotten a year under their belts, or 2 years, Scotty and Kiwi and Savannah Smith. So I just think the talent is better in every class. Our junior class is with those 2 players are really solid and experienced now. Our freshman class, even though they haven't played a lot of minutes, some of them, Danny Noble's going to be a tremendous player for us as we get her some time. I just think that and then our freshman class is a very, very talented class, and it just upgrades us from the talent perspective. And now the challenge is getting them experience and getting them minutes, and us being able to play a lot of different ways to play the game. Like right now we're playing real guard oriented, but I do believe in the fact that we have 2 6'3" post players behind Courtney Smith that ultimately, I'd like to get a post game, a better post game, and I think those two players will give that to us, and we'll be able to play with a bigger post presence later on in the season because they're that talented. So we're going to get better because we're going to get game experience, and we just have the talent and versatility on a team, and we're built better to play all different styles, I think, as we go forward, and that's the key. In years past, we haven't been able to match up with two bigs in some of these conferences, and now I think we can, and eventually by the end of the year I think we can. So I couldn't be happier with where we are. We signed one player in the early signing that's another guard that can really shoot and stretch the D. So, and we have Allie Meyer, who's a transfer that'll be playing for us next year. I mean, we've really got a great amount of talent in our program and versatility in how they play the game, guards and posts. So this year's going to be fun, and I'm going to love every minute of coaching these guys, but the future's going to be a lot of fun too.
How does a win like this kind of bring the team together?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't even know if our players understand the magnitude of Florida Gulf Coast. I think they were ranked 7th in the mid-major poll to start the season, and that's just a credit to who, his program and what he's done over years and years. And they'll win their league probably, and they'll win close to 30 games or 25 games. I mean, they're going to be so good. So this
Did
win.
they go to the tournament last year?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, they were 33 wins last year. So they're tradition rich in who they are. So it's a great win. Nationally, coaches will know it. We'll all get texts. I mean, the women's game knows this is a really big statement for our team. And again, I'm excited for it. We've had playing Colorado and not being quite ready for them, and then coming back with these last two, I think, is huge. And San Diego, I promise you, is a tremendous team, and it's going to take every effort that we have to even remotely be on the floor with them. So this is a great win, and I couldn't be happier than for our players because they deserve it. And again, want to just continue to say to the fans, you're going to love this team. Just keep giving us a chance and keep coming back out.